Hey there, I'm Sully, and as always, welcome to the Gun Club. All right, tonight we're doing a live stream weekly update on Wednesday. I believe it is the 20th of March, 2024. Have our confabulation, our friend Sniper, joining us from parts unknown or undisclosed or uncharted or unsomething. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the entire internet knows where I live.
It might be possible. Might be possible.
And check my local self-defense laws.
There you go. And see, everyone's already starting to pile into the group here. Have a few people popping in. See Ivan, see you come up in the chat here. And of course, Minnie has wandered by. As you'll note, Minnie, we are actually making very good use of your tumblers. I wouldn't call them cups. God. I was trying to explain to her one day the difference between a clip and a magazine. And she goes, well, you keep calling that a cup instead of a tumbler, so what's the difference? There's a difference. Just shut up. Yeah. Yeah.
Spicy.
Oh, yeah, she is. She is. But that's okay. We love her. She is our most favorite mouse. Not to mention the far prettiest mouse we have in our world. Margaret, good evening, sir. Hope you're doing well. Oh, this tonight should be an interesting little adventure. I've got a couple of quick updates on some stuff that I've been covering on the channel recently, a couple of follow-ups on some incidents. If you think back to February 18th up in Burnsville, Minnesota, we had law enforcement and fire, SWAT, respond early morning to a domestic, which turned into a barricaded suspect and multiple kids in the house and all sorts of crazy chaos. And the suspect was barricaded, ended up opening fire on law enforcement. We ended up losing 2 police officers that day, as well as a fire department SWAT medic. But the big question was, he was technically a prohibited possessor. He had tried repeatedly to get his gun rights back. The courts actually said no. He had been involved in violent assaults. He had pulled guns on people. He had quite a track record. And the judge said, no, sorry, the whole history of multiple domestic complaints and everything else, we just don't seem to be the kind of person we want running around with a firearm. Okay. Now, we can get to that debate later, and we may well. However, by the letter of the law, he wasn't allowed to have firearms that day. Yet he ended up with multiple. How'd that happen? Well, upon some investigation, they tracked his stuff back, and it turns out that he had 3 long guns, one of which was a Franklin Arms, and 2 of which were PSA, Palmetto State Armory, from right here in beautiful South Carolina. He's got good taste, if nothing else. And then he had 2 handguns. He had a Glock 43 and I believe a Glock 47. All of the above were purchased and processed under his 35-year-old girlfriend's name between September of 23 and February of 24 in that window. So she was basically getting him about 1 a month or so. And that is how, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, sure, gun control works. All the laws in the world. It took one 35-year-old who got herself all Twitter-pated, for lack of a better term, to, take and blow the gun control laws and judges and, everything else right out of the water and put this gentleman in possession of 2 of the ARs he actually used. He used with the Franklin and one of the PSAs. He did not use the Glocks or the other PSA in the assault that day, but yeah. So yeah, pass all the gun control laws you want, write all the legislation you want. One overly emotional, Twitter-pated female, and he's got all the firepower he needs. Yeah, call it like I say it. Now, on the bad side for her, as of, I believe it was March 18th, she has been indicted on multiple charges. She's pled not guilty, but, it's looking pretty ugly. They got assorted text messages and everything else on the phones from him telling her what to buy and where to get it and everything else. So.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Chat. Don't use the snitch box. And yes, I know my screen is cracked. Don't use the snitch box. Don't put this fucking thing away.
Yeah, she's young lady's catching quite a lot of charges. And she was actually I think mother to one or two of his kids. I don't know. That's a weird thing of who's what and everything else. But yeah. Mm-hmm. So not only, he ended up turning the weapon on himself before the end of the event, he revoked his own birth certificate, and they apparently have one or two kids together. And now I want to say they're looking at like 10 or 12 federal felonies from, unlawful statements and this and that and the other. And yeah, kind of interesting. And the fact that her last name doesn't rhyme with Ryden, she'll probably actually get convicted and catch some time out of this. From what I was seeing, the DA was not happy. And, the DA has got to get a little bit tough when you've got 2 dead cops and a dead firefighter.
Relevant.
And domestic and everything else. And literally ammo cans full of ammo. Let's see. Follow up on the other one was the Philadelphia SEPTA bus.
I think York would call that lightweight.
You call that lightweight?
Having cans, 2 or 3 cans of ammo. I think York would call that lightweight.
True. I'll give it that.
Sorry, I'm just being a smartass. Trying to lighten
on the other side of that coin, let's face it, when you're not supposed to have any, the fact that the media showed ammo cans full of ammunition, for what the rest of us would call a weekend at the range, but yeah, I know.
I'm just trying to lighten the mood. Continue. I
understand. Yeah. That's okay. Mel has put, just about as much through her new toy on some days. The other one I had to follow up on was the bus stop shooting up in Philadelphia where the 8 kids were wounded, one still in critical condition. They had the 4 shooters involved. They, as of last update, they had the 2 18-year-olds and the 19-year-old in custody. We're still looking for the 17-year-old. Well, he was found and taken into custody without incident in beautiful, scenic Arlington, Virginia, at the house of a female associate or acquaintance or a female something or other. Now, what's the connection between this and our first story? What do you think she's going to get for harboring? Because again, when you shoot up a school bus, they're kind of getting really aggressive. Why are women what, sir? There's just so many you can go with. Are you feeling lucky? Are you feeling lucky?
I was just going to let that one go, but Jesus. It really is true. Eddie Murphy said it all the way back in the Raw routine. Once you make that woman go, ooh, she'll do all manner of stupid shit.
Yeah. Now, that one, Arlington, maybe she knew how involved he was. Maybe she didn't. I will say his picture and name were all over the news. So there's a possibility that she might have been an unwitting co-conspirator. The one in Minnesota, like you said, the snitch box gave him away. Because just because it's been deleted doesn't mean it's officially been deleted. Mm-hmm. Also, of interesting note, I did take ownership of a new toy today. And I will say it was kind of interesting because when I was up doing my little digital 4473, which I kind of joked with them. I said, you'd think you'd have my information on file by now, as much as I'm up here. But, I mean, look, the last time I was in the store was, when was it, Mel? Was it Saturday we went to that store? Yeah, and we're trying to find stuff then, and we had to get that at another store. But anyway, that's where I picked up that thing I got for you, man, I think. It was, no, the other place I got. Anyway. I'm up there all the time. I was like, you think you'd know me by now, really? I'm kind of wanting, an employee discount or something. Yeah, this past Saturday, we were up there looking at guns. She's looking for something small and easily concealable. I was trying to come up with some interesting things.
No comment.
I was going to say, all I'm going to say is, yeah. Nah, I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be politically correct. Mel, just remind me, later. I'll tell you later. I'm not going to do it live on the show. But that being said,
I'm caught. I am caught. I'm unironically caught. I was being good though. I was trying.
Can you see the chat?
Yeah.
Okay. All I can say is now that Mickey's not home anymore, she needs something small and easily concealable. Anyway, that being said,
that's what I said. No comment. That was the first thing that went through my mind.
Mine too. Okay, but that's all right.
Okay.
Now,
Mel, I know it was at your expense, but you just made my day like 20% better. So thank you.
And I try to be good, Minnie. I really do. I do my best. Now, are you ready to throw the
Oh, she just did the she just did the Yoni Jesus. Love
no,
you.
they've threatened to do that to me for years, but
Oh man, what was the last part you had there?
What was that? Bad sniper, no biscuit.
No. Now that we've totally derailed you, you had one more part to that.
Yeah, it's again, you've got a situation where a guy shot up a school bus stop, 17 years old. And again, pass any gun law you want. I know we've got a lot of talk going on around here right now because of our new constitutional carry starting at 18 instead of starting at 21. And I was actually up getting my hair cut. And the girl who was cutting my hair, we got talking about it, and she was just like, I just don't see 18-year-olds. I said, honey, let me tell you this. The criminals start carrying them at about 15. All we're doing is putting law-abiding citizens on the same playing field. That's it. And she's like, B, well, 15-year-olds don't have guns. I said, oh, darling.
Let me show you some video out of Congo.
No, not even Congo. Let me, here's a link Chicago, to my podcast. Here's the link to my podcast. Go watch.
I'm just thinking about that video out of Chicago from 6 or 7 months ago now with all the kids with the auto sear Glocks.
Yeah.
Like, let me show you some video from Chicago, dear.
Yes. I mean, let's face it. We had a 15-year-old a couple weeks ago who was shoplifting. Security tried to stop him. He got away from security. And NYPD was giving chase. And he opened fire on NYPD in Times Square. Apparently that gun-free zone didn't work either. And ended up wounding a Brazilian tourist in the leg. Poor kid. He goes. The one good thing is when he goes to jail, he'll have lots of gang cred. You know why? He can say he's already shot at Brazilian people. But he's also connected to the same Venezuelan gang as the gentleman who was involved in the altercation down at UGA, so to speak. Are we noticing a pattern, anyone?
Well, I've been discussing the border issue as it relates to this for a while. So
yes, I agree with you on that. Would you like me to pull the article up on the border issue?
Actually, before we go into that, there's a little white pill I dropped in the private chat there.
Okay, let's see what I can find here.
So, this will be either the 7th or the 8th time he's been ratioed for the shit.
Okay. Let's see here what I can find.
So,
You know, my present situation is not the greatest over here, but we'll do what we can.
well, here, I can present it if you need me to.
Yep, here we are.
So this is Tony
One more
Gonzalez.
time.
This is Tony Gonzalez, the man that Brandon Herrera is attempting to primary, and he has yet one more time called Brandon Herrera a fraud, fake East Coast Texan. He has one more time gotten ratioed for it, and he has one more time also gotten ratioed by Brandon in the same tweet. Look at the top.
Yeah, we come down a little bit. Yeah, Sam Houston has entered the chat. If you represent the state of Texas, probably learn the history of the man who built it. Yeah.
So,
and of course, Brandon's got 4.4 thousand likes, as opposed to poor, pitiful Tony here has got 62.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With 546 replies. So this is like the 7th or 8th time it's happened.
Yeah.
And it continues to happen. And every time it happens, I just enjoy it. It's delicious.
Right. And for those of y'all who don't know who Brandon Herrera is, we'll just say Brandon Herrera is, well, known as the AK guy, also known as AK Jesus. Very, very popular YouTube personality, also very, I'd say firearms enthusiast, instructor, builder, designer,
Where's my AK-50, Brandon?
Yeah, well, one day he will build us the AK-50 that he's been promising, which is an AK-47 and 50 caliber. Let's say it. We're waiting. But with that being said, Brandon Herrera is also just watching this guy, Tony, and I don't know much about Tony, but I've watched plenty of Brandon's videos. Brandon's probably got more intellectual ability and brain as, I'd say, what would you, in one hand than Tony's ever going to have. Tony is a politician who became a politician because he's a politician and wishy-washy and doesn't stand up for anything. And, he's a Texas representative who's like in favor of unlimited immigration.
He's also a Texas representative who's
anti-2I.
Correct. It may as well be, a blue state politician, unironically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I just, just a little white pill for you guys. Tony's team continues to say dumb shit, and Brandon's team et al. Continues to destroy them every time. So maybe
because it comes down here a little bit further. Donut is
Donut destroys him as well.
One of Brandon's colleagues, compatriots, whatever you wish to say.
And don't get me wrong, I have my issues with Donut. But even he destroys him.
I like Donut. See, Donut worked one county above where I live, and he lived one county like southeast of where I live. I actually worked for a while part-time in the county Donut lived in. So we never crossed paths officially, but he was definitely somebody who I knew pretty regularly.
Indeed.
So it is what it is. Yeah, we were talking about some of the squatter stuff going on up around New York and everything else. I don't know if you saw that video. The guy basically talking about teaching people how to throw, how to basically squat in people's houses and throw them out of their own houses.
Yeah.
And I kind of said, okay, wear the 1% bikers when you need them.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just a little enjoyable moment there.
Always nice to see that. Yeah, that's been going on for a couple of days now. One more time. Now, I'll tell you, the funny thing is I'm seeing a lot of, a lot of talk about this. And this is, I'd say, where I won't say 100% divided as a 2A community, but we're opinionated. And we've always been opinionated, and some of us are more opinionated assholes than others, but there's sort of a debate here as far as, you know.
Yes, chat. We're going to poke the bear.
Yes. You know what? I'll tell you something. If we're going to have a debate about it, if there's goods and bads or whatever else, we need to talk about it. Hiding ain't done no one no good ever.
True.
So, you know, I'm not saying that we'll all agree on everything by the end of the night. Hell, who knows? On the other side of that coin, at least we can go ahead and, you know, get it out there and share opinions. Where am I coming from? Where are you coming from? Everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, unfortunately, we couldn't find out where Tony was coming from.
Oh, we know where Tony's coming from, but we'll get there in a minute.
Well, I mean, we were going to ask Tony what he thought was, but we kind of figured out we knew where that would go.
Correct.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit. Thank you.
That's about, you know, the best where we can go with anything Tony thinks.
Correct. But yeah, why don't you, if you're wanting to do this topic, why don't you go first?
Okay.
Since it's your channel.
Okay. If you haven't heard, this article comes out of Newsweek, March 19th of 2024 at about 10 a.m. and was then updated shortly after that. A judge this month dropped gun charges against an illegal migrant in Illinois, sparking further debate about the rights associated with the Second Amendment. U.S. District Court Judge Sharon Coleman of the Northern District of Illinois referenced the lower court rulings in dismissing firearm possession charges against Heriberto Caraballo Flores, who was illegally and unlawfully in the U.S. when he possessed a handgun in the Little Village neighborhood in Chicago, June 1 of 2020. The court finds that Caraballo Flores' criminal record containing no improper use of a weapon, as well as the nonviolent circumstances of his arrest, do not support the finding that he poses a risk to public safety, such that he cannot be trusted to use a weapon responsibly and should be deprived of his Second Amendment right to bear arms in self-defense, Coleman, who was appointed under Barack Obama, wrote in her 8-page ruling. Caraballo Flores was charged under Title 18, which legally disallows undocumented individuals to possess firearms and ammunition or to receive any firearm or ammunition which has been shipped or transported in an interstate or foreign commerce, which, for lack of a better feel, is all of them. The defendants who contended
the state of Montana finding out the hard way. Yeah.
Yeah. The defendant who contended the firearm was possessed for self-defense and protection of property during the time of documented civil unrest in the spring of 2020. If y'all don't remember the summer of love, has never been convicted of a felony, a violent crime, or a crime involving the use of a weapon. There were a myriad protests across the nation for that spring following George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. We all know about that. Don't get me started. Flores has consistently adhered to and fulfilled the stipulated conditions of his release. The ruling added that he's gainfully employed, has no new arrests or outstanding warrants. The court has previously denied 2 motions to dismiss the charge. First time was on April 13th of 2022. Second one, December 19th of 2022. About 6 months after the Supreme Court voted 6-3 to strike down a 100-year-old New York law requiring individuals to show proper cause. Those of us might refer to that as the Bruen decision, where, again, this sort of comes in from there. The ruling was brought to the higher court after being challenged by the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association and gun owners Brandon Koch and Robert Nash. We hold that when the Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. Justice Thomas wrote in the majority's opinion, to justify its regulation, the government may not simply post that the regulation promotes an important interest. Rather, the government must demonstrate that the regulation is consistent with, and I quote, the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. In May of 2023, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of gun control advocates in Illinois and denied a request for emergency injunction against the state's ban on the sale, possession of new semi-automatic firearms. That request was made by National Association for Gun Rights in response to Pritzker's signed legislation having Illinois assault-style weapons ban, including limits on magazine capacities. Those who are here illegally cannot possess a firearm of any kind that is obtained in illegal fashion, political commentator Jay Oliver told Newsweek via email. There's a civil duty of gun shop owners, if by that route, to lawfully indemnify those who are trying to obtain weaponry of choice by cutting corners. Unfortunately, we've seen too many trends where innocent lives are being lost based on the progressive nature of those in charge of courts and opinions.
Can I just say this ain't got nothing to do with progressive politics at all? It
really doesn't. I mean, we have an Obama appointee judge ruling pro-gun, pro-2A.
Correct.
And 2A.
And where are you on this? I mean, I put out the video this morning. I got all manner of hate. I got all manner of hate for the tweet last night. Everybody knows where I am. Although I'll elaborate a bit. But where are you on this?
I'll be honest with you. I am very much in the same camp as Minnie, and here's where I'm at. I agree with everything you said on your video. However, are they not criminals in that their first act, they came here illegally? Now, granted, they've not been charged or adjudicated with it yet, but
so
they, for lack of a better term, burgled the country.
So you know who potentially criminal is?
Yeah, Sean.
Just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.
Very true.
But
very true.
So I get it. Let's see here. What's this?
That's Scott Awesome.
Fine, I'll turn the damn camera off. I bought the funny thing is I bought a halo light. One of them ring lights.
Mm-hmm.
Right before I decided to go bald, and apparently it just now doesn't work. I've got to find a new lighting system.
Mm-hmm.
That said, here I'll adjust the boom because I actually scooted forward. So here's the thing. This is not a 2A question. This is not a 2A question. This is a border policy question. And on the border policy side of it,
see that side of it very much.
And on the border policy side of it, largely, if you didn't have millions coming in a year, this question would be a lot more comfortable for people. Let's say the illegal immigration in the United States for the last 10 years had been 50 or 60,000, and they had integrated pretty well, and there was no rising crime related to gangs piggybacking onto it, and there was no overt invasion by like the Chinese folks,
right,
which are very military-age Chinese folks, which are very obviously the Chinese sneaking a military into the United States. If none of that was happening, everybody in the 2A community would probably be going, you know what? He worked a job. He wasn't being obnoxious. Why do we care about this? But because of all that other context, that is the border problem. Everybody's going full bootlicker on this, and it kind of pisses me off.
Well, I'm not necessarily going to say full bootlicker. I can see a concern, again, where the concern is how valid it is or not. That remains to be seen. My concern, like you said, if it had been 50 or 100,000, we've got 50,000 this month. We've got 100,000 this month right now.
I mean, we probably got 50,000 the last week.
Yeah. And that's sort of a little bit of a question, unfortunately.
And like I said, if you didn't have the border problem in the first place, this question would not be near as spicy as it is. But what it comes down to, let me give you the rundown how you get to, or let me give your chat the rundown of how you get to where you are in this and how this lady gets to where she is. So,
Right.
As the article rightly points out, New York State Pistol and Rifle Association versus Bruin is the governing doctrine here from the Supreme Court. It was a 6-3 decision, and what it says is that in order for you to be able to sustain any further any gun rights, it was basically. Chat, what this was an opening shot at the NFA, and unironically, that is true. They said that if you were going to enforce any sort of anti-gun restriction, they were not only going to take Heller into advisement, but they were going to expand to that. If you wanted to have any sort of anti-gun restriction, you had to be inside of the history and tradition of gun legislation at the time of the ratification of the Second Amendment in the first place, or if you could find something that was right around the time of the 14th Amendment, where black people became citizens and equal rights in theory was constitutionalized. Now, the problem with that is there ain't none. There ain't none
Right.
at all.
Right.
Both, and when you get down to it, both gun control and illegal immigration, in the way you guys are thinking of illegal immigration, are things that started just barely before the turn of the 20th century. In the 1890s is when both of these things started to be a thing. Okay? And so, therefore, if you actually follow down the line, even after immigration got restricted, illegal immigrants started being a thing, and gun legislation, and you got the NFA, and you got the Hughes Amendment, and you got the blah, all the crap you got, okay? They didn't add immigrants to 18922 until the 90s.
Right.
You are so far beyond the 14th Amendment that just by the textual writing, you have no choice but to remove this. And by the way, the language in 922 wasn't just about illegals. There were two pieces added in the 90s. One was about illegals. One was about legals. She effectively just struck both of them. This all comes down to the 4473. She struck two questions out of the 4473, which is not in keeping with Bruin, and anything
one was the illegals. What was the other one she struck?
Legals. Basically, legals nor illegals had 2A rights according to 18922 after the 90s.
Now,
No
I will say
immigrants
the
at
44, the digital 4473 I did today did still have all the questions in it. I was watching.
Yes.
Now,
So
I think
so anything about being an immigrant, she has now struck. She has killed that part of 18922 that was added on in the 90s. And anything that weakens the 4473, from my point of view, I'm good with.
Right.
Now, like I said, what makes this twitchy, which makes this uncomfortable, is the massive amount of abuses of the immigration problem in this country. It's not that there is illegal immigration. It's that everybody, his cousin's dog, is piggybacking on the back of that and abusing the system horrendously so.
Right.
And so it makes it a little bit scary. But so, I'm sorry, just so, we're not to see supposedly 2A Republicans talking about safety pisses me off. 2A Republicans, in theory, are the crowd that is supposed to know that we are supposed to be about dangerous liberty. And this whole fiasco has, and I'm not accusing you of Sully, and I'm not accusing any particular person in chat, But this whole fiasco has revealed a gigantic bowl of hypocrisy soup wherein Republicans who watched and clapped when the turtle turned to Harry Reid and said, "This thing you do today, you shall come to regret," turn around and then advocate rules for thee instead of
Right.
rules for me instead of rules for thee.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to shut up a minute.
Okay. Now, Mel has sort of kicked in here with some interesting chats. I don't know whether you saw them. If they're legal, whether they're citizens or not, I 100% support their 2A rights. And I'm on board with that as well. And again, if they're illegal, aren't they by the very definition criminals then?
Then adjudicate and deport them. That is the status of the
Right.
law.
And
However, this is not inside of the Bruin test.
right.
Whether we feel comfortable with that fact or not, until they are adjudicated, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.
Right. And she also, again, at the end agrees this is absolutely a border issue because our border situation is an absolute mess. I mean, the
Agreed.
biggest problem I see with the border is, they show up, use the magic word asylum, and they come in. If they are truly looking for asylum, the first country after they leave wherever they're at that is safe, they should be able to claim asylum there. That's international law.
True.
How they come from China by way of South America, Mexico, the Panama Canal, and say that the U.S. is the first safe country they made it to, I'm not seeing it.
You know what though? I see some nuance in there because the reality is look at the state of Mexico and Central America, and the cartels basically own all of it.
Well, with the exception, El Salvador has cleaned itself up.
Yeah, El Salvador's on the upswing.
Yes.
Panama was doing better, but that's arguable. But I mean,
Right.
a lot of Central America and Mexico and what have you. I get where you could make the argument, yeah, but those places ain't safe, bro.
Right.
I'm not saying it's the right argument to make. I'm saying I can see the nuance to that. That
Right, but-
said, most of what you're seeing here is not those people doing this. It's people from the UN, by the way, that we're paying for.
Right.
We're paying 95% of the UN's existence plus the real estate.
Right.
It's those people coaching the legitimate immigrants and piggybacking military age males on the back of them en masse. And if you
Right.
don't believe me, go look at Michael Yon's content, Michael Y-O-N Yon, all over Twitter, where he has been covering this for a couple of years now.
Right. And, again, the UN, we won't, God, growing up in New York, I have my opinions on the UN, but when we're going to get into that, yes, we're paying the bulk of it. And, the citizens of New York deal with the UN. Personally, I would love to make it a giant migrant shelter and, just throw the UN out of there, make it all a migrant shelter and save us some money. Because I think that would kill two birds with one stone. Mel comes up, isn't that what, I said dinner tonight? And I was telling her, look, the other 10 amendments in that Bill of Rights apply to illegals. So, why not the second? And that's my argument there. I can see where they're coming from and I understand it. But why not just deport them? That's what we're not doing, and there's the problem.
Again, this all becomes a question because the immigration and border situation is broken. But the reality is, illegals and foreign nationals, when inside the United States, the Constitution does apply to them, and there is 240 some odd years of jurisprudence that says it does.
Right.
So then be consistent. Either it does or it doesn't. And if you want it to not, you have to adjudicate that.
Mm-hmm. And again, from the standpoint of, I understand the jurisprudence of it. I totally get, because it does apply to, everybody in equal, theoretically. The other side of the coin is,
Well, if I may,
at least if we had remained in Mexico until their, court case was done, we wouldn't have to worry about it. But
agreed. The
why
problem
would we have
much
that?
less.
Would made so much sense.
The UN and Catholic groups that were trying to get all this spun up during Trump, and then Trump got remain in Mexico, and they spun down, went into high gear the second Biden was selected. So there's a part adding to it. But let's go way back in time, right? Because I did gloss
always
past,
blaming the damn Catholics, aren't you?
No, it's Catholic Charities and the UN doing it.
I know.
I'm just saying.
Unfortunately, I know.
If it was a Baptist charity, I'd be yelling about the goddamn fire-breathing Baptists. Okay,
You're consistent. I'll give you that.
The Methodists are currently doing a bunch of bullshit over in Southeast Asia. That's not this, but it's semi sort of related.
Right.
Fine. They're all captured and corrupted. That said, let's roll back in time. And let me explain to you how this used to work, chat.
Mm-hmm.
During the gold rushes and the silver rushes and the Western expansion in the United States, it was literally legal during all of those rushes for you to either come over on the boat with weapons and or tools that you owned, assuming you had the money to, because they were expensive to buy in Europe, because Europe is fags, and or hop off the boat and immediately walk into the first store and buy the tools you were going to need and some weapons, and then head west as a foreign national. This was, in fact, a good chunk of how the West was settled, was by foreign nationals coming here to get away from the moronic nature of Europe. Correctly, might I add.
Mm-hmm.
So this was cool. This was very, very cool at the time of the 14th Amendment.
Right.
So it should still be cool if we want this history and tradition test that is going to slap so many things we want it to slap over time. This is just one that makes us feel a little squirrely.
Right. And I agree there is a way to approach it, not on the 2A side, but on the border side. However,
but anyway, I think I've wound down and said all of my things, and nobody screamed at me yet, so I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. That's always nice. Although, and I agree with, we've got Mel's comment here, we are putting such a burden on our judicial system because we are getting 5,000 plus a day, and that's whereby, I think they've got, someone said the immigration calendar is out in the 2030s now. So it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yes.
I think if we could fix the immigration policies, this would not be so bad.
And if we didn't have a Vichy GOP, if we didn't have a Vichy GOP that was willing to sign 1.825 million per year illegal immigrants as a systematic function, Dan Crenshaw, I'm looking square at you.
He's not looking square at you back, though. I have a feeling.
I mean, he's blind in one eye and can't see out the other. But if we didn't have a Vichy GOP that wanted to surrender to the neoliberal line on this, unironically, thank as imperfect a vessel as he is, thank Mike Johnson for not putting that up for a floor vote.
Right.
People keep slapping at him and saying he's not good enough, but you know what? At several very good moments, he's just been like, no, my own party is going to betray me on this, so no, it's not going to the floor. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
And unironically, every time he's done it, I've sent him a letter. Thank you.
Right.
So,
And again, the big section is looking at 18.922. Yeah.
which is where the 4473 is built out of.
Right. The old reading of it is being an alien who's either illegally and unlawfully in the U.S., except as provided in subsection Y2, who's been admitted under a non-immigrant visa, i.e., green card. So,
Well, now there was a different part of it. God, I was just reading this, and now I can't remember. But there's a different part of it that discussed my. I believe you had to be a permanent resident alien, even a legal immigrant, until they achieved permanent status.
right.
Didn't have any ability to buy a firearm. I'd have to go read through the whole damn thing again and figure out. And you know what? They may have even removed that since '95 when they did it. So the crime bill and the AWB, that was '94, and that last change to 922, as I understand it, to add in illegals and severely restrict legals, was in 1995.
Right.
So,
and we may see other parts of 922 take a hit in the months to come.
Well, the drug part already did, right? They still haven't pulled that question, have they?
Has the drug part actually hit? Yeah.
Fifth Circuit upheld it. I don't know if it's going to SCOTUS or not.
Now, I was going to say the domestic violence protection order, that's Rahimi. We're waiting to see what that does at SCOTUS.
Yeah, that one's at SCOTUS, correct.
That's been argued, pending decision now. And again, folks, I'm not defending Rahimi, okay? I am defending the lack of due process in the case. He's not the poster child you want. He's the poster child you got. If you're not familiar with the case, his other half had an ex parte restraining order against him, which probably was very well deserved, but with it being an ex parte situation, that she got the order. Can he lose a constitutional right via an ex parte process that he's not even aware is going on?
Yeah.
And that's what the constitutional question is. Now, I will tell you that the screaming libs will try to use this for the best of their benefit to say, oh, the radical right-wing Supreme Court, if they decide to throw that out, they want domestic violence, domestic abusers to have weapons. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying is we can't suspend someone's rights on an ex parte order. So I think that's one thing that's really gotten. The more I watch closely, the more I get so frustrated with the media these days. It really. Sniper, I just sit there and it's like, you know what really happened?
Let me find
what's really going on.
Let me find the quote from Aaron McIntyre. You do not hate journalists enough. You think you do, but you don't.
Mm-hmm. Pretty close.
The thing, I'll say this. I don't think Rahimi is going to be a winner, and unironically, I think it's going to be Amy Coney Barrett.
Okay.
That's going to be the issue.
It's going to really depend on how much they can get over his antics and his history and some of his stupidity.
Well, Kavanaugh having been kangaroo courted on the way in, I think he'll be on board because he'll understand kangaroo court is bullshit.
Right.
But Amy Coney Barrett is one of those that if the federal government said it, then it must be good. All too often. So I think that's where the problem is going to lie.
Right. Now, I mean, I can show you also, I've got a great clip here, and this clip to me explains so much of what our problem is generally with gun laws in this country. See if I pull this one up for us. It was just, really one of those that just blew my mind, because when you sit there and you watch it, it's like,
assault weapons may be banned.
let's see, share this up. Here is our, people who are making laws. This is the judge. This is a Seventh Circuit nominee, I believe, Biden's nominee for judicial review, who crosses swords with Senator Kennedy. And he's always a gem.
Said, quote, assault weapons may be banned because they're extraordinarily dangerous and are not appropriate for legitimate self-defense purposes, close quote. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Just to clarify there, I was local counsel. Our Supreme,
But you wrote the brief. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Senator Kennedy, actually, I did not write the brief. The brief was written by.
You signed the brief, though, didn't you?
Correct. I signed the brief.
Signed the brief, you're testifying to the court that everything in it is true, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They're
your words in terms of the court, right?
Well, you're correct, Senator Kennedy. I would never
Tell me
sign.
what you meant by assault weapons.
So I am not a gun expert, and at the time, that brief, I think, was about 10 years.
Give the court advice about, say, ban assault weapons. What is, you told the court you were an expert. Just tell me what you wanted to ban.
Senator, sitting here today, as I said, I did not write that brief. I was local
You signed the
counsel.
brief.
I understand. At the time,
Not what you wanted to ban. That's all I'm gonna know.
I don't remember the exact definition of assault weapons in the ordinance that was at issue.
You submitted the brief to an appellate brief, you signed it, and you don't know what, and you said abolish assault weapons, and you don't know what you wanted them to abolish?
Senator, at the time that I signed the brief, I read the brief because our Supreme Court required an Illinois bar member to sign the brief. I was not responsible for researching the content.
You were responsible for the brief.
Absolutely.
Mel, it's worse than that.
And sitting here today, I do not remember the characteristics of that were cited in the ordinance for the assault weapons ban. It's not an area of practice that I have specialized in. I'm sure 10 years ago, I could have answered your question.
And
Sitting here today.
You think you deserve to be promoted?
Nice. Oof. Just oof.
Yeah, that, ladies and gentlemen, that's it right there, folks.
No, it's worse. It's worse than that. It is worse than that.
The funniest part is, here's my, every person who's involved in this stuff, and that's why one reason why I'm so pro the AK guy or Brandon going up to Congress, because you watch these hearings and you see train wrecks like that going on, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me.
She is literally trying. She's trying the Ketanji Brown Jackson on guns. So
Yeah.
Ketanji Brown Jackson famously said, "I don't know what a woman is. I'm not a biologist."
Well,
She's
I mean,
trying
I'm
the
not-
same thing.
I'm not a biologist either, but I know what a woman is. Yeah.
She's trying to use that defense to prevent being borked.
Yeah.
And it's so blatant. She's so blatantly bad at it that he just literally eviscerates her for 2 minutes straight.
I just want to know what you want to ban.
And she
Well,
knows
I
exactly
thought
what she wants. She knows exactly what she wants to ban, but she knows the second she says it, she gets Robert Bork. For those of you who don't know who Robert Bork is, it was one of Reagan's nominees to the Supreme Court that got destroyed. But the second she answers that question, she gets Robert borked, and she knows she can't. She knows she can't. So she's trying in real time the Ketanji Brown Jackson defense. It's not, I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's, I know if I answer this question, I get murdered live on C-SPAN.
Yeah, this is about to get really, really ugly for me. And the thing is, I love watching Senator Kennedy's clips because they're fantastic usually. But, I mean, that was one I picked up earlier today, and I'm like, come on. But it's the problem with everything. And, you know, Mel's got it here. You know, her firm she works at acts as local counsel in cases all the time. But the attorney is never going to sign his name to something unless he's 100% behind it and knows what the term is. You know, that's the thing to me is I just, you know, Kennedy's, yeah, I just want a definition of what is this thing you want to ban. They can never come up with it. They can never come up with it. Yeah. And even when you read the laws, they've never come up with it historically.
I mean, they know what they want. They you know they
ban all
want
guns.
it. They want well. That's the eventual goal. But right now, the stage they want is a practical ban of anything semi-automatic. You know that's the current target. That
Right.
But again, the second she says it, the second she comes out and admits it, she gets murdered like Robert Bork live on C-SPAN, and she knows it.
They want to ban anything pretty much short of, you know, the cowboy revolver that Alec Baldwin used.
And then that'll be the next step, right?
Right.
It's with the left. It's always step by step, and the current step
We give
is
him an
modern
inch, they'll take a
semi-automatics.
yard. Right.
Yeah. So, but that's what that was, and it's beautiful. It's that was just beautiful because
Yeah.
she's not as good as Ketanji Brown Jackson, and she also has a few less progressive stack points to rely on in that goal.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, speaking of, you know, Alec, we'll just have to bring this up.
Oh fuck.
That's what he said. Anyway. Yeah. He's actually still saying that these days.
Oh, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that.
But, well, you know what Joe Biden wants to do for home defense, right?
If you want to protect yourself, get a double barrel shotgun, have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun, and I promise you, as I told my wife, we live in an area that's wooded and somewhat secluded. I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out, put that double barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house. I promise you, who's ever coming in is not going to, you don't need an AR-15.
Need I say more?
You only have 2 rounds in the first place, and you're going to waste both of them. Jeez.
Well, and it's the old saying of what goes up must come down. That was the biggest thing. It's like of all the advice, you know, think about it. If you're out in the boonies, nowhere land, whatever. But yeah, so discharge blindly into the sky. Yeah, I'm sure your neighbors a block away will love that. After you waste their dog in the backyard.
I mean, well, to be fair, with a shotgun, it's highly unlikely. But
right.
Like I said, you've got 2. You're a double barrel shotgun, not even a pump shotgun. So you got 2 shots at this, and you're going to waste them both.
And you know, I think it's really nice here that Mel has been a firearms owner for like a month and a half now, or a little bit more or less, plus or minus. Time flies when you're having fun, but she knows better than to ever do anything that epically stupid. So we got to kind of go with that one. But yeah, just got fire rounds indiscriminately in the air. That'll make you real popular in the neighborhood.
Yeah, no, that'll make you real popular in the neighborhood. Like I said, it's shotgun. It's unlikely, you know. I've had plenty of shotgun pellets rain down on me. I'm just saying.
Right.
But nobody's gonna like it, and you're making a gigantic fucking tactical error by announcing where in the
Right.
house you are, and then you wasting both your shots.
And we'll go one step further. At that point, if you are that up close and personal without hearing protection and have sent 2 rounds out, all you're going to hear is ringing in the ears for the next 5 minutes while the bad guy comes clomping down the damn hallway, knocks on the door, and you can't even hear him coming in the door.
Well, Mel now getting in on it. Yeah, well, they have to load him full of a massive amount of drugs for him to shoot one anymore. So, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of that, there is a AR-15 lower I've been looking at. It's a cosmetic lower that PSA is doing, and it may be on my radar for my next build. See if I find it for us here. It's a special Joe Biden commemorative lower.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. Let's see if I can bring this up.
Is it pink? Nice.
No, she wants to. If she builds an AR, she wants to either do a Minnie Mouse one or a Hello Kitty. She hasn't decided yet.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Woman? No. Hang on. Y'all just. No. Oh, God. The more you look at it, the better it gets.
Potus shatus vatipants. Oh, she slipped one. Yeah, we're going to see the Pope, take a poop, or depends. That's unsafe, by the way, in case y'all aren't familiar. So, yeah.
Oh, Jesus. That's something else.
It really is. But yeah, there have been some really nice custom jobs done on it. Yeah. I can see this for my next build. I really can.
Uh-oh.
What do you think?
Oh, God. Hey, you know, with AK Jesus running, that let's go, Brandon. We got to be careful. We got to take that one back.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's all sorts of custom jobs done here. If y'all hadn't figured out, PSA is like, you know, kind of one of my favorite places to go.
By the way, chat, I will say this: if you build one of these builds, never use it. Never use it. Okay, because you're not the cop in Arizona who has a Punisher mag in when he blows away Daniel Shaver. You're not going to get qualified immunity. They're going to use your custom lower to convict you.
Well, and especially if it's a Punisher. I mean, that's the one that I've talked about before on another stream. Just generally, the Punisher stuff is really, really problematic. And the reason is not because it's a comic book or anything else. Was okay, well, I'll stand correct on the Hello Kitty. She did ask about Minnie Mouse, though. But the Punisher is a vigilante who gets extrajudicial justice in somewhat of an excessive way.
I'm aware of the comic book.
Right. Well, I'm just sort of explaining to the chat if no one's familiar here for the 7 or 8 folks we do have hanging around listening to us killing a night. The thing is,
they have gone after not just the Punisher though. They've had other folks that had other things. There was somebody that had a "We the People" lower, and he was gone after. I think in the end they didn't get him, but he was gone after. There was somebody else that had a shit. I'm blanking now. Texas.
Come and take
I
it.
have the yes. I was gonna say I have the fucking flag on the wall. And they went after him, and I don't know how that one turned out. So any
I know there was
sort
one
of,
that had a Grim Reaper lower who
Yeah.
got in a situation, and
they tried to go after him for it. And they will use. It's just like, it doesn't matter what kind of bullet you use. That they'll say it was the wrong kind.
Right.
Any sort of custom weapon. If you use it in self-defense, they're going to use the fact that it's custom to say that you had intent to go murder people with this thing.
right,
Doesn't matter what it says.
right. Now, I've looked at doing something as far as a custom lower. It's on my radar, but not this week. I'll put it that way.
Fair enough.
I've been
Listen,
busy.
I said I'm starting to fade. Do we have anything else, or are we going to wind this in?
That was about it. I just wanted to hear your side of this. Again, I agree with you on the legal side and the legal definition. I agree with you that our place to fix it is not on the 2A side. Our place to fix it is actually going to be on the border side, and unfortunately that may be more difficult to do than what we would have hoped for, if that makes any sense.
I mean, assuming we have an election, and assuming that the polls are right, and it's so far one way that they are not going to be able to fortify it because it would
Right.
be too blatant at that point. And assuming we get Trump, maybe we start to see something turn on the immigration part.
Right.
But if we don't, it's going to be a flood for forever, and it is what it is. But that doesn't mean you throw out the tool just because sometimes the tool's going to spit something at you that makes
Right.
you a little squirrely.
Right. And again, Bruin is doing a lot of good for us. I'm willing to take the hit on this one just because of the fact that, again, how much good has it done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, or how much is bubbling right now because of Bruin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing's ever perfect.
Right.
And what she did is technically correct under the framework she was given
Right.
by
I
Clarence
agree.
Thomas.
And again, when you look at all 10 apply to everyone. It doesn't say citizens, it says people. And that would apply to people. And aliens, illegal or not, are still people. Sorry, Donald. Anyway.
But that said, I'm tired, so.
Alrighty, well, I will let you get going. I know you kept everyone up running last night. I appreciate you stopping by and having a little fun with us tonight. Again, I know you had kicked the hornet's nest before and, work from there. And Mel says, okay, but wait a minute.
59.
We're waiting a minute.
58. 57. 56. Yes, I'm going to do that. 55. What, Mel?
Let's see. She says, it says, we the people of the United States.
Actually,
Yes.
let's see here. Preamble. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. So, like I said, there's 240 years of jurisprudence that says the Constitution also applies to immigrants and foreign nationals.
Mhm.
Okay, and that it again. Yes, they are, Mel. They are under 240 years. You're a lawyer. You should know this.
Well, she's not a lawyer. She's a legal secretary, paralegal.
Okay, I thought you were a lawyer, but I
No.
mean, there's 240 years of various jurisprudences that says yes, they are entitled to the Constitution. But let's bump up to Mr. Scott Awesome there, referring to MS-13. MS-13 was already at one point declared a terrorist organization here in the United States. I do believe that was removed by Mr. McPoopy Pants. But terrorist organizations are a whole different breed, whether you agree with that or not.
Yeah. I'm just sort of catching up here. Apparently, University of Memphis has turned into a train
Shit
wreck.
show over Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
I'm putting the I'll wait 24 hours and see on that to find out what really went down in its
Okay.
entirety. But the preliminary
I've got,
seems to be Berkeley and Milo.
Yeah, pretty much. Again, mostly peaceful bunch wanting to respect free speech. Yeah. Free speech for thee, but not for me. And they're doing that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as of right now, chat, it appears that the whole 2017 Berkeley and Milo Yiannopoulos thing, look it up. It appears
Yeah.
that's currently happening to Kyle Rittenhouse down in Memphis.
Yeah.
I will wait to see more details of how this went down, but that's the preliminary look, and I'll just wait and see what actually comes out.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be doing a stream tomorrow night. I've got 2 cases I want to hit tomorrow. Then we had a multi-state crime spree go on up around Philly and Trenton, New Jersey about a week ago. I've got some interesting stuff on that I've been researching. And I'll be back with that tomorrow, and also the New York City subways. Because that's near and dear to my heart. I grew up on some of those trains, hanging around on those trains, taking those trains. Now mostly during the daytime, mostly in good areas, but we've now got the National Guard down there, and they're just not doing good. They're just not working.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they killed somebody down in the subway today. So,
They get another one today.
yeah, there was some pictures of it on Twitter.
All right. Now, when you say they killed the National Guard, NYPD, or
some miscreant. There were pictures of a dead old man in the subway.
Damn it, boy.
So Minnie, I will do this in as short a form one last time as I can. Okay. At the time of the 14th Amendment, which is the latest framework you can use under Bruin, there was no such thing as illegal immigration. Didn't exist. Therefore, you couldn't have written a law for it that would be legal under a Bruin test. They didn't even add illegals to the 922, which is the definition for the 4473 form, until 1995. There is no history. There is no tradition. Therefore, to be consistent, you have to remove it.
Right.
That's it.
The big push on this is Bruin that says we can't do something today that is outside of the text, history, and tradition of what the laws have been. Now, hopefully, again, Bruin in this case had a result that we didn't really like, but Bruin has also been the one that has turned several states that shall issue into will issue, or may issue to shall issue. It's also taken a lot of bans out and done a lot of other things. So,
and it's caused the blue states, the crazy lefty states, to make
really reveal
mistakes. Well, to make mistakes that are going to cost them down the road.
Right. And I feel bad. Colorado right now is having a hell of a time.
Yeah, they are right on the top of the pile. They are doing they are making every ludicrous, we've lost our fucking mind mistake they could possibly make all at the same time.
Yes. And Colorado has gone more goofy than California, which is really bad.
More goofy than Illinois.
Yeah. And, well, the interesting thing is you figure Colorado is apparently, the where the liberals have gone from California. They've all escaped California, gone to Colorado. But in talking to people in Colorado, I know a couple of people who are looking at leaving Colorado now because of it. And you're talking of successful business people who had no plans 3 years ago, had no plans whatsoever to ever want to leave Colorado. And now they're talking, Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina, even Texas. Just because they can't deal with it anymore.
The only redeeming quality of Colorado is Forest Mommy, and she's also a little bit crazy in and of herself. So,
Forest Mommy?
Yeah.
Not familiar.
Jessica Fensky? Forest Mommy? Literally Forest Mommy on Twitter?
Okay. No, I was thinking
crazy
of...
gun lady.
Okay. My favorite crazy gun lady in Colorado was Alicia, Boomstick Babe.
Ah, okay.
She's been up... giving speeches at the legislature all week. She's been fighting this stuff. She's actually the named plaintiff in a couple of these suits as far as the waiting periods and stuff, stating that, what is a 7-day waiting period? What do you tell a domestic violence survivor? Let's see. But why would they move from Colorado to my state? Scott, I'm trying to think. Did you say Washington or I'm drawing a blank here? Yeah, Colorado's where all the crazy hippies live. And Bronco. But, for what it's worth.
I think he's thinking about getting out.
He is. And again, he had 3 years ago would not have said it. Yeah. I've got friends of mine in New York 3 years ago, 5 years ago, they would have said, no, they think things are great. Things are wonderful.
Apparently, Mr. Scott Awesome's in Nebraska.
Okay, Nebraska. I had to wonder what that was for a minute.
Corn.
Sorry, we don't allow corn on this channel, sir.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
All righty. Well, snipers, appreciate you stopping by. I'll let you go so you can get some rest. Folks, if you've enjoyed it, like it, give us a thumbs up, share it out. Again, we're trying to have conversations here about the 2A. Also, again, updates on the other stuff. I'm going to be doing 2 stories tomorrow night on a couple of incidents. They're definitely going to be on the interesting side. And hopefully, if I can catch a break this week, I've had a couple of really busy weeks just with EMS research and stuff, but the new channel is supposed to be coming up soon. I've already started working on it, where we're going to get into a little bit more news and commentary and policy, not just boring gun stuff, as someone told me. Is that all you do, gun stuff? Well, yeah, that's kind of fun, but okay. And you can look forward to, after this coming weekend, probably a review on the new Dagger Micro Compact. Brought it home today, and we'll be taking it out for a test drive over the weekend.
So show my screen real quick.
Yeah, go with them.
Kyle Rittenhouse. This is Kyle R. Wow, Memphis is an interesting city.
Yeah.
So at least he's letting you know he's okay, guys.
Yeah. And we're actually going to have a little talk about Memphis, possibly. I might do something on Memphis tomorrow night, not on this incident, Memphis. Memphis is where they have got members of their state House of Representatives calling for riots.
Again,
Memphis themselves put in a local ordinance or something else, basically keeping law enforcement from doing traffic stops for minor issues, brake lights, expired registrations, things like that. And the reason was because of what happened to Tyree Nichols. And if you're not familiar with the Tyree Nichols case, he was the one who basically got beaten to death by a group of police officers. Now, Tyree Nichols had a tan. The police officers who beat him chased him down and beat him some more while he was handcuffed, horrifically, as I think 99 and 44, 100% of the cops watching that would feel nauseous. I used to work in law enforcement. I watched it and I'm like, how are these guys cops? What is the, major problem? Totally garbage. They've been arrested. They're being charged, everything else. But because of one incident in the city, they're now trying to rework the entire police framework about traffic stops, etc. Memphis also has one of the fastest growing murder rates, higher than most Central American countries. You got to realize, I wouldn't go to Memphis. I'm scared. I'd about rather be in El Salvador than Memphis.
I think the last time I was in Memphis was right around 2002, and it had parts you didn't want to go to then.
Yeah, when I came through driving home from Vegas, summer 2020, I ended up pulling off in Memphis, looking for a place to pull over and take a nap. And I had the dog with me, and I was looking around, and I didn't like anything. And I ended up finding a law enforcement facility. It was like a state police barracks off one of the exits. And I pulled up, and there was a guy loading gear in his car, and I told him who I was, what I was, and this, that, and the other. I was like, is there a place around here that I can crash, or you recommend, or safe, whatever? And he told me, yeah, go back behind that fence, park in the back lot between our cruisers. We've got people inside. I'll have them watch you on the cameras, so you're 10-4. He said, I wouldn't recommend 2 miles in any direction from here. I'm like, wow. And he's a super nice guy, decent cop, but he's like, not in this area, man. No way.
Yeah.
When I told him, I said, I'm just beat. I've been driving, all day. He's like, I get it. He said, just go back. Let me go back in their police parking lot. They have to keep their cruisers locked up in like 12-foot razor wire fences. Yeah. Give you an idea what we're at.
All right. I got to go.
All righty. You have a wonderful evening, sir.
Bye.
Be safe. All righty, folks. Well, that was our dear friend Sniper. If you haven't, check out his channel over on the Sniper's Nest. I know he does pretty regular streams on Rumble, more current events, news type of thing, both out of Utah and national news. Over here, we tend to get more into gun stuff and just play with that. Trying to see here. I've got a little bit of a comic pill video that I want to see if I can dig up for you real quickly. Got this one the other day, and it's too good not to pass on. Because I figured after tonight, you definitely could use a good laugh. Right? Let's see here if we can get this one up. Alrighty. Yeah, Elvis would be ashamed, Mel. It really, definitely Elvis would be ashamed. This is a clip out of a courtroom in beautiful scene Hotlanta down below me, which, although it ain't no Memphis, it ain't no great world anyway, so take it for what it's worth. Here you are.
You just heard that you explained that we qualified that, you qualified it as the detectives and police. And I asked you the authorities, the police, the prosecutors, I just made it broad, that they forced Jeffrey Williams into it. Did you hear you say that?
Man, can I get the water or something? I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all now. I ain't gonna tell you no lie.
Yes, you may. You're gonna take a break. Hang in.
Folks, they live among us. That's all I can say. They live among us. But on that note, If you want to get some more information on any of this stuff, or you want to check any of our stories that we cover, I try to put a lot of the stats and data up over on our locals at thegunclub.locals.com. We also have our Rumble library where we save all of our videos. If you want to contact directly, you can do mike.southeastdefense@gmail.com. Follow us over on X or Twix or Twitter or whatever it is, because we tend to announce all our streams over there at least a couple hours in advance. If I can do better, I will. Beyond that, folks, have a safe and wonderful night. Be smart, be safe. And as always, I'll leave you with the lovely and talented Sarah Gonzalez.